SoFi will be reporting their Q1 2024 results within 24 hours of recording this video. I'm super excited for another great quarter with SoFi. SoFi is a company that consistently, quarter in and quarter out, beats analyst estimates, and I don't think this quarter is going to buck that trend. I think they're going to come in and smash analyst estimates once again. We're going to talk about some things I'll be looking for in the report tomorrow. If you can't tell by my voice, I'm a little bit under the weather, I'm a little sick, so I'm going to try to keep this one short and to the point, but I had to get this video out before SoFi earnings. Real quick, if you're new here, I'm Austin. I'm a co-owner at cloudsuite.com. I'm also a stock market investor, and most importantly for this video, I'm a SoFi shareholder, have been for quite a while now, and it's one of my top holdings in my portfolio. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and become one of those 3,000 something subscribers. I don't know where those numbers are at right now, but become one of those subscribers. Helps out the channel in a massive way. Okay, let's get into it. So SoFi is about to report their Q1 2024 earnings. Two things I'm really looking forward to is the EPS numbers in Q1 and some commentary around the convertible notes transaction, and specifically positive commentary obviously around that convertible notes transaction. Anthony Noto did a few interviews after that convertible notes transaction where the stock dumped in a massive way, but I don't think the market was super attuned to what he was saying. But I think saying it in the earnings call would be much more impactful, and I do believe he'll reiterate a lot of the things he talked about in some interviews, and that'll be good for sentiment around the stock. A lot of people felt like they were hurt in a big way by the convertible notes transaction. Anthony Noto detailed very clearly that this was a positive thing for the stock in the long term, not a negative thing for the stock, and he goes through the numbers. It's not just his opinion, he talks through the numbers and how it's going to help the EPS in a massive way.
Well, I would put it this way. We saw it as an opportunity to do it and have a negligible impact on GAAP earnings per share, and also combined with a buyback, have it be accretive.
But did you think the stock was going to get crushed like this?
Let me finish. Have it be accretive to tangible book value per share by 8 to 10%.
Okay.
When you do a convertible, there is pressure on the stock from investors shorting the stock against the convertible. Right. It's a delta hedge. That does happen. So there is typically 5 to 10% decline. But the reason why we did it is really important, because I think this is what will put some momentum back into the stock. First is we had this 12.5% debt. We also had another piece of debt that's about $500 million that we pay 7% on. So we're going to save between $40 and $60 million of interest expense a year by refinancing from 12.5% down to 1.25% where the convert is, and from 7% down to 1.25%.
Speaking of EPS, what I want to see from EPS is definitely, for sure, another EPS positive quarter on a GAAP basis, okay? If you didn't know this, SoFi reported their first GAAP profitable quarter. That's generally accepted accounting principles in Q4 of 2023. They've got to keep that going strong in order to get respect from the market. For this company to be a growth beast is awesome, and I think the growth rates are still going to be absolutely amazing and extremely high. I got one other thing to say about growth in a little bit, but let me finish the EPS thought. There's a lot of growth companies out there that are just money losers. If SoFi can be one of those companies that's not only a growth beast, but also an EPS growth beast, an earnings growth beast, it's going to get a lot more respect from the market. SoFi's been range bound for quite a while now. It's one of the reasons I've been able to pick up as many shares as I have, because I buy stocks I like at prices I like. SoFi is a stock I like, and it's been at a price I like for a very long time, so I've accumulated a lot of shares, thankfully. In order for SoFi to get that next leg up, proving that they're a profitable company and those EPS numbers are growing quarter in and quarter out, that's going to be very important for sentiment around SoFi stock, unlocking a new shareholder base. As we know, many investors will never touch an unprofitable company, which is probably a pretty wise move on the whole. Unlocking that new shareholder base, increasing the buyer pressure on SoFi by continuing to post those positive EPS quarters is going to be vital. This quarter, consensus estimates from 7 analysts is 1 cent per share of EPS, with a high estimate of 3 cents per share of EPS. I do think they'll either meet that 1 cent or beat that 1 cent. It's hard to say if that EPS boost from the convertible notes transaction is going to come through in Q1, but even if it doesn't, I see them meeting that 1 cent EPS. As long as it's positive and they're proving that they can stay EPS positive on a GAAP basis, I'll be happy for Q1. And then the third thing I'll be really looking at super closely is the lending growth rate. When they reported their full year 2023 results, they gave a lot of guidance. All of that guidance was very bullish for the stock, but the one guidance piece that was a little weak was that lending, they said that lending was probably going to be flat from full year 2023 to full year 2024, and maybe even down a little bit. And they said that that was a very conservative view, and I believe that was a very conservative view. I'm interested to see where the lending growth is in Q1 of 2024. That doesn't necessarily give us a clear look at all of 2024, but if Q1 in lending is beating big time, then we can expect that their conservative guidance is going to get beat on the lending side. I do want to see that lending growth up a little bit. I want to see them beat their prior guidance. I think it was really conservative. I'm curious to see how much they'll beat that lending guidance. Let's talk about stock price a little bit. Historically, SoFi stock price, the day of earnings, pumps crazy, like 10, 12, 15, sometimes 20%, like crazy moves up. And then the next few days or the following week, it just dumps all the way back down nearly to where it was before they reported that earnings. This has happened many, many times with SoFi, and almost every time SoFi runs into earnings. And that seems to be playing out again. We got a nice run up on Friday, up about 3.5%. And then after the close, we were up another 3% on SoFi shares on Friday. It'll be interesting to see what happens with SoFi. I do think they're going to report another really strong quarter, and I think the stock is going to pop in a big way once again. But that doesn't mean it's not going to drop once again, just like it has so many times. Stock pops, stock drops. Stock pops, stock drops. It seems like it can't ever hold on to the gains. What's going to make it hold on to those gains? I can't say for sure, but I can say EPS positive quarters on a GAAP basis is only going to be positive for the stock in the long term. Stocks follow earnings in the long term, whether we like it or not. If SoFi's earnings are increasing, the stock price over time is going to increase. Does that mean it's going to pop tomorrow? Not necessarily. Does that mean it's going to drop tomorrow? Not necessarily. But I know if they're reporting positive EPS quarters, it's going to be good for the stock over the long term. And I'm not in the stock for weeks or months. I'm in the stock for years. I've already been in the stock for years, and I plan to hold it for at least 5 more years, if not 7 years or 10 years or even longer than that. Grand scheme of things, does it really matter to me what happens with SoFi shares tomorrow? No, not really, but if we get a big dump in the share price, I'll be buying more shares. I've chilled out my purchases a little bit as we've gotten into the high 7s and the $8 range, but if we drop again, I'll buy again. These are bonus shares. I've built out my position. I'm just nibbling here and there. If we get a major sell-off, I'll have to buy aggressive again. But one thing's for sure, no matter what happens with the share price, I will not be selling SoFi on this earnings. Like I said, it's a multi-year hold for me. This earnings is just one little checkpoint along the way. Let me know what you're doing with SoFi. What do you think is going to happen with the share price tomorrow? I know a lot of people are getting frustrated about the trend of stock pops on earnings and then sells off the next few days after. Let me know what you're doing. I want to hear about it. What do you think SoFi is going to report? Thanks so much for being here. Have an amazing day.